Good evening and very warm welcome to Evalo's webinar. I'm Pavitra, and on behalf of Evalo, I would like to thank you all for taking time out of your weekend schedule and present here for our webinar session for gracing the occasion. This webinar is very special. It makes it special because one of the valuation industry's long pending challenge is solved. Yes. We are just about to present to you a simple to use solution to digitize, store, and extract information from your previous reports. And guess what? Evalo has made it so simple that it takes just less than 2 minutes to digitize a past report with structured storage of previous reports. Over the next 1 hour, we shall not only introduce the feature, but also give a live demonstration of the ease of digitizing your historical reports with Evalo's virtual audience. In today's session, our panelists are Mr. Krish Sudhakar, a chartered accountant by qualification and also the promoter of Evalo. Mr. Vijay Anand, an engineering graduate and head solution catalyst at Evalo. An engineering graduate heads the solution engineering group for Evalo. Vijay also possesses nearly 2 decades of business process transformation experience. Before joining us, Vijay has held a variety of roles across multiple sectors, including banking, telecom, and IT companies like ICICI Bank, Aircel, Airtel, etc. And Mr. Jitendra Prakash Sinha, MBA graduate and business head cum chief product officer at Evalo Risk Solution Vertical. A brief on Mr. G. He has more than 25 years of experience in collateral-backed lending industry, starting from designing product from fresh lending to managing risk to handling distressed assets and collection. G brings along with him rich valuation industry related expertise. I welcome you all. The event is being recorded. The recorded version along with the presentation will be mailed in your registered email. Your active participation is important. We request you to share your thoughts or questions in the Q&A section available in the Zoom menu bar, and our panelists will be happy to take them up. I will hand it over to Krish from here on.
Thank you, Pavitra. At the outset, we submit our tributes and respect to the Indian soldiers who were martyred in the most unfortunate circumstances. We also take this moment to thank the medical fraternity, including the doctors, the nurses, the support staff, and the paramedics who have been tirelessly and selflessly working in keeping our country and its citizens safe. Now, before we even get into the objective of today's webinar, on a very macro perspective, every software has a purpose. The purpose of a software is predominantly to solve a particular problem. Now, if we look at India as a country, has its own set of challenges, its own set of problems, and its own set of solutions which needs to be found out. In the past, we've had many overseas businesses or software companies who've tried to attempt to give a solution for the valuation fraternity within India. But unfortunately, most of them could not fit into the Indian requirements for the simple reason that India is such a diverse and diversified country. Now, between the states, there exists so much of variances. The expectations are different, the needs are different, the wants are different, the desires are different. Now, as we've been traveling with this fraternity for almost 4 years now, starting from our research days to the design stage, to the development stage, to the deployment stage, to the upgradation stage, across multiple each of these stages, we've got a complete understanding of the diversities which exist in our country. And understanding these diversities and coming across with a solution which caters to all the needs or requirements or wants is actually a challenging task for our own self. In that process, what we have actually done is we have sequentially listed out the requirements or the needs of this industry And the needs does not end with just the software provider or the software developer. It also involves a transformation emanating from the employees or the last mile users of our software, which includes the valuation engineer, the report typing executives, or the document collection, the runner boy, so to be called. Why, even while the promoters or the owners of the valuation firms are quite open to adopt a particular technology or a transformation, there is a time which these last mile users tend to take up, and that's where the actual challenge lies. So at Evalo, what we have tried to do is over the last 1.5 years, we have tried to simplify the product, make it more standardized, make it more rational, make it more easier to use for the last mile user, and at the same time make it more robust, make it more purposeful and meaningful for the owner or for the valuation professional, for him to derive absolute control over his operations. If we look at the Evalo's virtual office, the primary objective that we, or the primary problem that we tried to solve was bring the business under the control. Now, with that being the objective, actually we were surprised to note that in quite a few of our clients, as we were interacting with the last 1 month, we came to hear that they have actually solved yet another problem. Evalo solved yet another problem, which is work from home. Now, some of them shared very happy feedback stating that they are able to initiate a case from the bank premises, or the moment a mail comes from somewhere, the initiation happens. The document gets attached here. It goes to the site engineer who is at home. He visits a property, whichever has been assigned to him. From there, he submits data. It comes over, it goes over to the report executive who sits somewhere else at his residence. Once he completes and uploads, it automatically comes to the valuation professional. And here he concludes the report, and no necessity for someone to take it separately and then send it across. The moment he approves a particular valuation, the report goes off to the banker automatically. So all these are happening at remote locations, and everything gets converged into the Evalo's virtual office. So this supplementary advantage, which was absolutely happy for us to hear when we heard that we've solved a major problem which could have otherwise costed heavily, would have been more time consuming, would have been more, would have called for more human efforts in having this workflow channelized or monitored. During the course of this engagement with our clients, we did come across quite a few feedback from our subscribers stating that now there is surplus time available with our team. If there is some way that we could have the historical data digitized and ported inside so that it can help us sometime in future. Actually speaking, this was in a part. This was a part of our product upgradation pipeline. This was scheduled for October or November release. But then, considering the need of the subscribers or the market per se, what we thought is we'll prepone that and bring that over right away, and that's exactly why we are over here. This one particular problem was very unique in its own self. We had worked on this particular solution for almost 3 to 4 months last year on trying to understand what are the ways and means in which a historical record can be digitized and brought out. The challenges we had was, one, it should be easy. Second, it should be cost effective. Now, because these are after all historical data, and having a valuation professional incur additional cost may not be making immediate value or immediate sense for him. And the third one should be is it should not be complex, and intelligence should be extracted by the valuation professional. It should make some meaningful sense for him to use this data even after uploading this data. Based on that research and based on multiple processes, we in fact used artificial intelligence also to scan and upload and then extract information, push it into a database. But those are solutions which are still available, but they're slightly costly. So what we thought was bring about a trade-off between cost and ease, and make it in such a way that at the least possible time, with the least of the effort, the report gets automated, the report gets digitized, and that digitized information should be available for the valuation professional to take meaningful information. And that brings us to this wonderful afternoon. With this brief introduction, I once again welcome you all to this wonderful event, an event where we have attempted to solve one of the long pending issues of this valuation fraternity. To take you through that particular feature and also to give you a live walkthrough, I call upon Mr. Jeet and Mr. Vijay, who are also a part of this panel, to brief you on these two aspects. Thank you, and once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krish and Pavitra, for setting the tone right and giving us a brief introduction. And I once again welcome you all for joining this session. So in today's session, as it was said already, we will be discussing about data intelligence from your own historical files, right? So we will also be talking about how to manage these files and also how to derive meaningful information from these data for now and how it can help in the future. Joining with me, I'm really happy to have Mr. Jeet to join us with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Jeet.
Jeet, I'm afraid. Jeet is now in Mumbai, and I believe it's raining heavily over there. He is having some connectivity issues. Jeet, we are unable to hear you. If you could just check your network.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good.
I take this opportunity to again welcome everybody for this evening webinar. And I would like to thank Krish, Pavitra, Vijay to inviting me into the Evalo family. Before I start, I just want to give you a brief, I would like to speak about myself. I've been into the banking industry for the last 25 years. I've worked in NBFC, I've worked in HDFC Bank, I've worked in ICICI Bank, and also I've moved to an ARC company called Arcil, where I've spent the largest stint of my career. And during this various organizations that I've been working, I have played different roles and have come across different decision-making scenarios that I've come across. And whichever role I've played, whether it is about lending or it is borrowing, or is it about starting a new product, or it is about taking a decision on a sale or a settlement, everywhere there was one single place where the decision making would completely hinge upon, and that was basically the value that was provided by the valuer to me of that particular underlying security. And that is the reason why today I'm here taking this opportunity to thank the entire valuation community for supporting the banking industry for many years, to give them meaningful information so that they can take decisions, valid decisions to extend their credit to the various people in the society. Now, looking at the topic that we have today, we have data intelligence and historical files. So let me start with the basic term data. Now, data is nothing but, I feel it is part and parcel of our daily life, as we are the ones who keep creating data every second, every moment of our life. The moment we start recording this data, it becomes a historical file. Let's say we are making a presentation in this webinar, that is the data. The moment it gets recorded, it becomes a historical file. Now, for this particular information that is being parted, or the data that is being created, now everybody here who is present is here to take and collect the data. Now, it depends on us what we take back as a learning from this. The reason why we take this learning, the learning is where we try and see that what is it that we are able to do better in future? How is it going to make our life much better in the future? So that is what, when you talk about this learning and then bringing it into practice, that is what is called data intelligence and its application. Now, just to give you an example, I don't want to talk in too many jargons in the IT sector of what data intelligence is, but I can just give you a simple example with a historical file that I felt would be appropriate for this evening. So I picked this particular historical file, which is basically a picture from one of the very popular and most well-known streets in New York City, called the Fifth Avenue, fashion capital of the world. There is this file which contains a lot of data that you can see around. But as I said, this particular file is in front of you so that we can have something more interactive to understand how much of us are going to see things differently here. What is it that we learn from this file or this picture or this data that we see across? Is there something that we see here which goes back as a learning? Is there something that we have over here that can make a change for a future better life for us? Anybody, I leave the floor open to everybody in the audience as well as the panelists. Anybody who is able to find anything which is different or something which goes as a learning that you can feel that could change the future for tomorrow. Is there something that anybody can observe?
Uh,
100 years later, India's Dharavi can also become like New York today. You still see people overcrowding, no social distancing. Yeah.
Why not? But looking at it from a serious note, I would like to know if you find this is a picture from 1900.
there's a lot of people, a lot of carts being pulled by the horse, a lot of action happening in the picture
Okay.
on this road. I think I also see a distinct cart which is not being pulled by a horse.
Oh, that's interesting. Anybody else? Pavitra, Krish, anybody from the audience?
I just see the way the crowding is, and we've also heard some from the audience saying that most of the carts are empty.
Okay.
So that's also an observation. And predominantly it is horses. It is only horse carts. We hardly get to see, there are no automobiles inside.
Yeah, but I think Vijay, and is somebody
I
giving
think he's picked up one car there, right? Where is that, Vijay? Okay.
You see, I think, yes, somebody has identified that there is a cart which doesn't have a horse, and generally a cart without a horse is something which is different. And is it something that is going to make a difference in the future? Now, this is something one of the persons in America has observed and has seen and has foreseen the game-changing scenario in the same country. So just look at the next slide. What do you see here? What you see is you have only one horse. You have multiple cars. So it's just taken hardly 10 to 15 years and the entire scenario has changed. So what we see here is that there is a person who has the power to foresee something, is taken back a learning and has put in a revolution in the auto industry that has changed everybody's life for good. So if we go to the next slide, what we see is that is the power of data intelligence. Something that you pick as a meaningful insight and revolutionize the life.
This is actually interesting. 10 to 12 years, things have changed completely.
Yeah, that's exactly what the whole thing is about. In 1900, you had a car, just one car. 1913, just one horse carriage. In 2020, we are talking about cars which don't even run on petrol and diesel. We talk about solar power. We talk about cars running on water. Interesting. So these are some examples of data intelligence.
Right.
So, yeah, Vijay?
Thank you, Mr. Jeet. I think you've really set the context right in terms of explaining it very pictorially, how we can pull out information from what has happened in the past and what's happening now, and how we can put this information to decide on the future. I think that's what is data intelligence all about. You learn from the past and use those learning in deciding on the future. So while we talk about data intelligence, how is it relevant for valuation industry is what we're trying to discuss about today, right? So there's a lot of valuation assignments is being done by valuers day in, day out, right? They've been doing it over the years, right? Right from, so much information is being collected by the valuers, and right from how much assignments have they done, and how much productivity has gone into it, how much effort has gone into it, to how did they arrive at valuing a specific property, how did they strengthen their argument of the opinion, or how did they even arrive at the opinion of the particular subject property. So much information, right? So if we can use these data right from, let's say, generally I take about half an hour to come up with a valuation report. Is there any way we can study how did the whole process happen, and can we shorten that process? That's more from the business perspective. How what we'll like to discuss about today is more from the perspective of how do we arrive at the valuation of the particular property. Is there anything that can be done in terms of using the data from the past to derive meaningful information which can help you in fixing or finalizing subject properties value or opinion, right? So there's so much information for specific geography. What people do is they go and search for comparables or measurements of the property, relate them to other property which they've valued in the past, which basically comes from their memory, right? So so much information is being processed by the human brain, right? So which if it can be channelized, or can there be a system which can help them put this information in a perspective which can really help them in arriving meaningful information which can be used to value a subject property in the future. That's what we primarily, the whole objective of this particular webinar is all about. I would probably also add, request Mr. G to add few more points with respect to historical intelligence from historical files.
If I may just add one small intervention.
Right.
Some of the pioneers in this industry, they actually keep repeatedly, they've told us like valuation is both an art and a science. And that's exactly what you were saying now. They used to say that collecting data is a science. There is so much of, it's a method, it's a methodology, and it's a process. And the more and more we follow the method, more and more we follow the process, the science becomes beautiful. And based on that science, the data which gets collected, you extrapolate and look into the future, and that becomes an art. That is wherein valuation professional becomes an artist. I mean, he tries to see what is there in future, what lies ahead of us, based on the historical scientific data that he has collected. And this is something which I repeatedly keep hearing time and again. This was a nice piece of information. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kush. Mr. G, from your experience.
Yeah, it is very nicely put across by Krish, and just I would like to add, based on the experience that I've handled the valuations at the centralized desk in Arcel for a good number of valuations, we were interacting with approximately 150 valuers at that point of time. And we also were doing approximately large valuations around 300, 350 per year, and around 25,000 small ticket size valuations were going on. So at that point of time, it becomes very important for us as a lender, or as a banker, as a lender, as a ARC professional, that we ensure that we keep analyzing and updating our asset portfolio on a regular basis. So to first understand the portfolio that we hold, we need to classify them into different categories: small, medium, large. Eventually, we also see what is the underlying security, and we have to keep assessing the loan to value on a regular basis. And also, we need to ensure that the vintage of the valuation is the most recent one. So we have to keep ensuring that we keep a tab on the current market scenario and how the loan to value is moving as far as the portfolio is concerned. So try and see how the portfolio is moving in the current market. And that triggers exactly why we are going to take a decision whether to keep the portfolio, to sell it, or to make a go for a negotiation or go for a recovery. So obviously, these valuations again play a very important role in this. And every time this exercise is done, we have to do comparisons of the past prices as well, and we have to see how the movement is taking place, where the whole property is moving in what direction. So data intelligence is a very important role for all of us, and we have to be on our toes at all times. And I think this is one such exercise where I see that most of the time we are haggling the valuers. I know they are doing a wonderful job and supporting us in the banking industry, but I think that it's not enough. We need much more. And I'm seeing that, today this new angle that is coming up of historical files is certainly going to open a new chapter completely.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jeet. And adding to that, we now have a lot of restrictions on travel, valuers reaching out to the property multiple times, or reaching out to the broker, or all those touch points where they can get the data. It's going to be really tough. I think now they can go back to their historical data to fetch valuation insights for the future, right? So.
Yeah, I agree completely. Here, it is very important because in this pandemic conditions, there is always a fear of going in the when you are having travel, you need to maintain safety measures, and each time when a person goes, there's a risk. Any engineer or any valuer goes to the site, there's a risk. So obviously, the cost of going and coming back, it's going to be difficult. There was a time we had the luxury to keep throwing second, third valuation opinions to various valuers and asking them to give us different angles or opinions on this. But I don't think we have that luxury today. So we have to be responsible. At the same time, we have to do the work, do it once, do it right. It should be the motto today. And we have to respect human life.
Absolutely. So, having said that, there's so much information they can, pick up from the past work. How many of the valuers today are actually in a place to pull those information? Surprisingly, most of the valuers are either they've not methodically maintained the data, or the data is not in a rightly placed to derive meaningful information. In most of the interactions which I have had with the valuers, the work gets recorded in a paper, which gets printed, and it's being given to their clients, and it gets recorded in a form of a file, and they go into the storage. In some firms, they do capture the key key fields of let's say latitude, longitude, or property value, some specific information of the property in form of Excel or Word. But when it comes to using this data in deriving meaningful information with respect to a subject property, it still becomes a challenge, right? So if you look at valuers do a lot of use different methods to arrive at the valuation. Let's say a cost approach, or a market approach, or a discounted cash flows, and they use multiple techniques to arrive at these values. They go for scout for information. Right? So, having said that, having used all those models, methods, techniques, they arrive at a particular value or an opinion of a subject property. How do they basically authenticate the value that they have arrived at? Is there any way they follow to authenticate the value that they have arrived at, Mr. Jeet?
See, every valuation by itself is a challenge and an exercise by itself.
Right.
I would say every time a valuation is done, there is a lot of work, hard work that has gone into it. Good number of man hours has gone into it.
Right.
And eventually, when the reports do come and it is brought to us, as I said earlier, we do have to do a price trend analysis. We need to see whether the price fluctuation is significantly high or low. So obviously, these questions naturally keep coming up in the approving authorities and various forums, where they keep raising this query as to why this has gone up or why this has gone down, or what could be the reason, because we either stand to lose or gain, or we change a strategy on a particular deal or a negotiation. So many times, these iterations do take place. Many queries keep flowing back to the valuer, which is quite a harrowing exercise, not only for the valuer as well as for the person who is taking a decision on this. So,
Right.
so obviously, we do empathize. The situations are not always great because there's a lot of money at stake in the process. And well, these are the times when we have to keep coming back to them with seeking more information, and at times the only way to satisfy is you look at different comparables that they can provide. It could be in different forms, which could support the valuation to make their opinion stronger, or a statement that can be more meaningful to them.
Right. So on top of all the approaches and techniques used, relying on the comparable data is the key thing to strengthen an opinion, right? So which brings us to discussing about primary and secondary data, which valuers completely rely on in terms of going as a sort of tool to authenticate their data, right from recent sale transactions to listing websites like 99acres.com, or going to brokers to reach out to find out what's happening in the specific geography, right? So, so each of these source of information is actually a task for each and every valuer. So how easily are these data available? How authenticate or how conclusive these data can the valuer use to conclude this subject properties valuation or opinion, Mr. Jeet?
See, any valuation exercise, I think most of us are aware, or it's a very popular demand by every lender today that you need to have these basic comparables to be available, which are in primary or secondary form. Now let's talk about the primary data over here. Comparable that we get. This is a transaction history, which is a recent sales transaction or a registered transaction history. It's not always possible that each time you will get this data. It is not possible that each time this data will be freely available. Though many valuers do try and get it through RTI or through other means, but they are not easily or readily available. There is a time period, there is a lapse, you have to wait. There is a time lag in the process. So yes, there is an exercise behind it. When we look at the secondary data, again, we have websites like 99acres, indiaproperty.com. Over here, these are platforms which are created for buyers and sellers for various real estate properties, where they come across and they try and make a transaction. But generally, this is a website where if I'm a seller, I would go and quote a price. Now, not necessarily the buyer comes at the price which I quote, but though it is comparable being used. So it could be that, the quoted price may not be the transacted value. Similarly, if you look at the government guideline values across various states, they differ from, they don't really match. Either they are above the market value or below the market value. These have their own requirements based on the government policies. And they are also not going to give you the exact figure or exact comparable that you want. When we talk about broker references generally are the kind of values that are biased with a margin, money in it. because you never know the broker is representing a buyer or a seller. So there is a margin involved accordingly. Similarly, if we talk about micro market analysis that we do, obviously here it also is going to give you some kind of look and feel of the property. You know, if there is, let's say, there's a road expansion happening, or there is a zoning of the property that is taking place. So obviously, there's going to be an impact on the value. But
Right.
if you look at the primary and the secondary data, comparable data that we get, these are not exactly conclusive, but they are more or less indicative figures, which helps you to get close to what the valuation opinion has been formed. But I still feel, you know, there should be something which should be more reliable, something which is authentic. For example, if I've already done the valuation maybe of the same property 6 months back or a year back or maybe 2 years back. So there is a lot of exercise I've already done. I have already put in a lot of effort into it. And there is a lot of information that I've collected at that point of time. And today I intend to revisit the entire exercise. So I would be far more comfortable looking at the same property today based on my previous efforts and exercises that I've done.
Right. That I think leads us to our platform. The solution that we're talking about is Evalo presents to you, deriving meaningful insights from your historical reports. Basically, what the platform does is it goes back and pulls your information from your historical valuations, and it plots or organizes the data in such a way that when you're appraising or valuing a subject property, you can actually go back and resort to those learnings which you have already, efforts that you've already put in arriving at those valuations, and relating subject property to the other properties in the near vicinity to understand what valuations you have given and what all information you had collected at that point in time, and reflect those learnings on the subject property. And I've also seen whenever I visit valuation firms, there's so much piles of data which lies on their office of the previous valuations. Most of the firms also have exclusive storage space or warehouses to maintain stock and maintain these files for the purpose of their compliances. And going back and searching for these files and records is actually a very time-consuming and cumbersome and cost process, right? So on Evalo's platform, we have tried to solve these two problems, which can be problems that can solve your immediate issues, right? One is primarily deriving meaningful information to give you a clear, to give you a standardized, to arrive at a standardized valuation for a specific geography. And the second one is storing, managing, and retrieving of your historical reports or files, right? So once you start adequately stocking your database with good quality amount of such information, you can actually over a period of time build your own micro market strategy, or coming up with your own price trends, or you want to develop your own artificial intelligence based learning algorithms. All those is possible, but the start is here. To bring all your historical valuations, your learnings, your understanding, right? Everything goes into the system, and over a period of time, you start building all these models. It's not only about the models, right? See, in a specific firm, right? A specific geography is being looked up by a particular individual. He specializes that. So much information is getting stored in his in his memory, right? So if somebody else is later point of time, somebody else is looking at a different property in a subject place, you will either have to resort to his help what we're trying to say is there's no structured way of sharing this information, whatever they've learned over a period of time. That's what we're trying to solve here, right? So it's very simple. It's just a three-step process. Organize all your historical documents in terms of an electronic file, upload them into the platform, and you start seeing Evalo bringing you all those information when you are in the process of appraising or valuing a subject property. I'll quickly take you through the demonstration of the platform. I think I know we are just slightly overshooting time, but I'll just quickly run through the platform for the benefit of everybody.
As Vijay prepares for the platform demo, I'll just add upon whatever Vijay had said. Now, this is just the first step towards the ultimate destination of your plans of having your own AVM, maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line. If we look at, go back into the developed countries of, say, America or Europe, where they have AVMs, it was a journey. It took almost, the journey began in 2002 when the first software even got deployed in a standardized manner in the Western countries. From then on, probably it took about 8 to 10 years for them to stabilize with that particular product and start getting the data collected in a structured way. And about 2011-12 is when the concept of AVM started really getting popularized. Valuation firms, real estate firms started sharing their own, building their own AVMs. Those AVMs were used for bulk portfolios valuation. Like say for example, insurance companies, like say for example, you have the banks having their portfolio valuation done, or for that matter, even companies under the listing requirements of the New York Stock Exchange or whatever. So likewise, the opportunities are very many. Now, this is just the first point of it, where we are trying to give you a platform to help you in your decision making. Later on, as we move on, the product will get even more stronger and give you more tools and methods to extract more information from this. Please go on, Vijay. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks, Krish. So this is the interface which you will find on the Evalo platform. Historical reports. Here is when before getting there, I'm sure you just have to organize your documents, and in this form, you just convert them into electronic form. Let's say we are today, creating let's say we have a customer named by winner, and we have done this valuation quite some time before. And let's say we have done this valuation in 2011, July 1st. And we go back and address. If you look at the interface, once you type the address, it automatically picks the latitude, longitude. However, if you want to drag this to the specific location, you can still do that. It will get adjusted. And what was the name of the branch within your firm, and what are the type of asset. These are basically optional data. So let's say if it is an immovable asset, there are three different categories, whether it's vacant land or flat or individual property. Let's assume it's a vacant land, and the property was 1,000 square feet property, and we have assumed that we valued that property for about 10,000 square feet at that point in time, and it gets calculated. Now here there is an option for you to go back and upload all the historical data.
Those are the documents pertaining to that particular property. Right. If in case you have the documents available with you, that's the same can be uploaded over here. There is no restriction on the number of documents. As many documents you may have in your possession, you may do it. See, many a times with regard to especially the APF project, this ones, the bankers, if one valuation firm has cleared the project, they tend to go ahead and release it again. So at that point of time, you may not really have the document. Once uploaded in this remains with you. That is on this particular document upload feature. On the other side, you can also upload the images if in case you have any. These are again optional. But what you can also do is, if in case you have the report of the property, you can go ahead and upload. Vijay, 1 minute. You can click on this upload button at top, which are the reports. Now you can upload multiple reports. Now, supposing if it were a under construction property, or for that matter, even an APF project itself, at different points in time, you have released different reports, different stage of progress reports. Those can all be uploaded under one single cluster. So from an APF standpoint, this would be really helpful. Even at a later point of time, after 2 years or 3 years, if a resale unit is coming from that particular project, then your plans are all in place with you. The approvals are there in place with you. You, even if the banker or the any other client is not going to give you those documents, you can still derive the opinion with absolute comfort that yes, I have seen this project in the past. So once this is done, see, we have kept it as minimalistic as possible. There are 5 data points which a person has to enter, of which only 2 are typing. The rest are all drop downs. He just needs to select the values, enter this basic information, upload the report, upload the supporting documents if available. Images is there, upload it. Not an issue at all. You can upload whatever required and then go ahead and submit the report. And this is all it takes. It takes less than 2 minutes. The more and more a person gets used to it, it becomes even more easier and even more faster because it is more intuitive. And whatever is mandatory is marked out with the red color asterisk. And once you submit this, Vijay, you can just show how it moves forward. Now, this is what typically the report executive level resource or your report typing team can be empowered to do it from your administrator level, where you can choose which executive would be able to do this. Once this is done, once the data is getting accumulated and stored inside your Google Drive, if you could show the Google Drive, Vijay. As a process in Evalo, all the reports gets stored in your Google Drive, which gets created separately in your system, in your drive, and in that a folder for Evalo will be created. An Excel sheet for the cases that has been done in Evalo will again be automatically created, and every data which gets completed through Evalo would be a part of this spreadsheet. Now this becomes your master data sheet, and this would eventually be helping you out in knowing exactly what has happened in your particular firm, and this data is with you. Yeah. Now, once that is done there, in future, if in case you're going to get a property which is closer to Apex Plaza, and assuming as a reviewer the valuation has come over to you, and you are going to review that particular valuation report, in that scenario, you can just click on this particular case. You would see here on the right side all the valuations that you have done in a particular locality. Let me just take a minute and quickly telling you each of these icons, which is just change over to map view. Yeah, here the green is the subject property which has been completed by a site visit. Now for this purposes, we've already completed and kept a property report ready available over there. The ones in light yellow are the ones which you have completed in Evalo, afresh in Evalo, which are the present cases or the recent past cases. The ones in saffron or the dark orange or brownish orange color, those are your historical reports. If you could click on one of them, Vijay. If you see here, this report has been completed, and this is one of your historical reports. Now click on one other report. No, click on some other pointer. Yeah, orange pointer, saffron pointer. Yeah, if you look at it now here, this particular report, date of the report is 1st of March 2010, and the property is located at about 350 meters from the subject property. You will get a complete description of the property, an idea of what valuation you have given in that particular location, even as early as 10 years before. And if in case you want to go further into that and understand what it is, you can click on View Report. This takes over to the report which was attached by your report executive in when this case was uploaded. So everything comes under one single frame. In this particular screen, you will have all information that is required for you to conclude on that particular report. Furthermore, we'll show you one other feature. We just come scroll down the page, not the map. Yeah, click on this check dedupe button. There is a provision here on the left side, first button. left side first button. The moment you click on that, it will show you all the valuations which we have done in that particular locality, in and around that particular property, and this will, the historical records also would get automatically fetched in this particular list of cases. Now, this is the beauty of this particular feature. It's a one-time exercise. 2 minutes per report is what it requires. But then the entire record, entire valuation data that you have done, or the effort that you have put in so far to conduct so many valuation reports, gets entirely digitized. And especially when it comes to the project reports, trust me, I've come across many valuation firms really thanking us for this particular feature, because for project files, most of the cases, instances, they don't get the approved plans or the approvals, and every time they need to refer the previous report. Instead, the documents would be available here in your Google Drive and in your spreadsheet, which always comes handy to you. And additionally, over and above that, you can always search for that particular case at ease. Now, Vijay, if you could click the red color square box on right top with the magnifying glass. Yeah. Yeah, here if you are going to type the name of the borrower, even 2-year-old case, 3-year-old case, if the banker is going to tell you, I had given you this case 2 years or 3 years before, you can just type Vijay, winner. Just search winner. Yeah, and search. Here, this was the case which we had done right now, and that's come over here. And if in case you want to know the further details about this, just click on this open drive file, the gray color button, and that takes you to the Google Drive directly, and that has all the documents which you had uploaded, all the images that you have uploaded, everything in one single place. So you don't need to move anywhere beyond Evalo's virtual office for any information pertaining to your valuation history. And the most amazing piece of it is you derive intelligence from this. Your decision is it's no longer just intuitive. It is more substantiated with data that is available within a frame within your eyesight when you're trying to decide on a particular valuation report. This is the Evalo's virtual office, this historical report digitization feature. Now, Vijay, over to you. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Krish. So now we open, now that we've completed the discussion and taking you through the platform briefly, we open the discussion for addressing your questions.
One of the questions is that please don't restrict only PDF files. Ms. Suvarna, no. This is, you can attach Word, Excel, PDF. So we don't restrict the type of file. You can restrict. You can upload any of these 3 files on this historical report. And on images, yes, PNG, JPEG, JPG are all supported. You can upload those images into the platform.
The next question is, in all your demos, you're explaining land and building. Can you send via email regarding P&M?
Oh, yeah, sure. Shouldn't be an issue. We'll send it across to you, sir. Not a problem.
How to log the website, log in the website, any special user ID needed?
Vijay, you can take this.
Mr. Armugam, once you subscribe to our virtual office platform, you will receive a unique user ID and password, which will be on an admin user ID and password. Once you receive that, you can set up your account. You can create user IDs for your teams if you have multiple people within your organization, and you can set up, define their roles, whether they are field engineers or report generation operators, or those kind of control mechanisms are very much available in the platform. Once you, and if you're subscribing to various different packages, meaning various different features, those features will be enabled in your Access admin panel, and you can extend them to your users and make use of it.
Good. So those report executives whom you authorize to upload these historical reports will alone be able to have see this historical report link in their login. So you can decide on the senior most report executive or whomsoever you feel is appropriate for that. You can go ahead and do that. You can attach that rights to the administrator himself. You can attach it to your own self, and you can do it on in your ID also. There is absolute flexibility in terms of who can do this job, which is provided by this particular platform. Now, as I move on to the next one, what about the formats of different banks? Mr. Dinesh, now this virtual office platform, I would request you to come over for a demo. Now, in this particular virtual office platform, we have automated the business layer, and the report layer is not a part of this particular platform. So you can continue to generate the reports using Word or Excel or whatever tool that you're presently using. You can ask your resources to upload that into this virtual office, and this virtual office is a comprehensive repository of all your data information pertaining to a valuation report, and we also help you with that particular data with more meaningful connectivity established between each of these elements of your report. So if you are looking at report generation as a feature, if you're looking at that as a solution, Evalo has another product which is called as Business Pro. In that package, yes, we have the business layer. Over and above that, we have the report layer also, which can be explored, and that can be taken up. On virtual office, yes, this is the report gets attached with in the form of Word or Excel in whatever form and manner your existing team is used to.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Yes, Mr. Armugam, I'll send out the subscription link to you. So the next question is from Mr. Goel. Does it show price trends based on all records in certain radius?
Sir, with regard to the price trends, we are at present not displaying the price trends because we are just about, virtual office especially is about 25 days old. But however, for those of our clients who are traveling with us for at least a year now, yes, for them, we have started showing the price trends based on the data which has already been entered with the Evalo. As we move on, we will extend the same feature to virtual office also.
Thanks. Not all banks have the same format. So how do we address this concern while submitting the reports to the bank? I think this was already answered by Mr. Krish. With respect to virtual office, I think we're purely discussing about automating the valuation process or the business management process. Of course, it's being addressed in our Evalo Business Suite package, where we can, based on your templates, we can configure those templates in your specific user IDs, and however you can just you can generate reports in those templates. The next question is, if any assigned job is pending due to some specific reason, is there any caption like that so that one can remember why that visit is still pending?
Cool. Now, what you could see, as far as the historical reports are concerned, it is we recommend concluded reports being uploaded in this. Or if in case you still feel that yes, we can have the query reports or pending reports for various reasons also, which has to be uploaded, then you may upload the same with without assigning any value for the property, which will be an indicator to you to state that yes, this valuation has not been concluded. But as a design per se, we don't capture anywhere whether if it is a final report, query report, interim report, hold report. That piece of it is not being captured at present. Yeah.
Next one is from Mr. Srihari. I appreciate the Evalo team for continuously upgrading. Thank you so much, Mr. Srihari. Please to suggest, apart from Google Drive, we shall or should try to have a backup in our hard disk.
Awesome question. That's in fact one of the, I would say, I really wanted to address this in this gathering because it's awesome now here. Now see, hitherto we really don't know how the data was getting stored in each of your offices, each of the valuation firms, but this spreadsheet is going to be the master spreadsheet. Now this will have comprehensive data pertaining to the valuations you've done. This is going to be robust. We seriously suggest that you have a system in which a regular backup is being taken, maybe once in a week or once in a month or once in 2 weeks, so that even in the event of there being any, because Google Drive, what happens is it is somewhere connected to one particular email ID, your email ID. Inadvertently, there have been instances where few email IDs get logged or blocked, or for some reason you may not be able to access that particular email ID. And if access to that email ID is lost, access to this data is lost. So we suggest that at repeated and regular intervals, a hard disk based backup is suggested and it is recommended. Now, even you may not be even looking at the document folder, but at least the spreadsheet of the summary of the valuations that you have done, we would strongly recommend a backup of that being retained at a periodical interval.
Thank you, Krish. So, what is the cost? Mr. Rao has asked this question. I'll quickly just take you through the pricing part. So, as always, we have two different, for virtual office, we have two different package models. One is a quarterly model and the other one is an annual model. Once you subscribe to our quarterly or annual model, which is on 7,200 rupees on a quarterly model and 19,998 on an annual model, you have these two as optional features. You can subscribe to third-party integrations, which will be an additional 3,000 rupees as one-time setup fee. And historical report management, the feature which we're talking about today, is actually charged at 10,000 rupees. Of course, as we have our launch offer, we've extended it at no additional cost. Of course, this is going to be a very limited offer. For those people who have missed out on our launch offer last month, can quickly grab onto this offer and start building your data, bringing all your historical files into Evalo system and make meaningful insights from the information.
Now, thanks, Vijay. Now, see, transformation is a process, and the problems which exist in this industry are variety. There are numerous problems which need to be addressed, and they are all time bound. Both from the software standpoint, and from the user standpoint, and from the managerial standpoint, from all standpoint, there has to be a desire to transform. And what was not there a couple of years before, because I still remember giving the first demonstration of a software way back about 6-7 years before, and from then on we've been consistently demonstrating the platform at different layers. But the interest that we are seeing at present in the last 6 to 8 months time is amazing. It was never seen before. We really see the urgent need felt by the valuation fraternity to transform, to digitize. Now, this is the moment for us to take a decision and start moving forward. There is no one software in India which can solve all our issues. There will be some element of change which has to happen at the software level and at the user level and at the firm level. And the moment we are able to arrive at a via media and a trade-off between this change, I think we should be able to start our transformational journey and keep a 2 to 3 year time frame, by which time we shall eventually transform into a completely automated and digitized working atmosphere, at which point of time the full benefit of having digitization, which includes cost saving, time saving, effort saving, and then having control over your data, control over your members, employees, extracting intelligence from your data, and then monetizing your intelligence. I mean, it's an entire process, and you can have a 3 to 5 year transformational process and travel along with us, and we are willing to travel with you. As I said, we've already made 20 modifications within the last 25 days since it was launched. We are receptive to feedback. We love your feedback. We are really thankful for your feedback. Continue to give your feedback, and we will continue to evolve the product. More and more such feedback makes the product more and more agile and more and more user friendly, and we are open for that. But have a 3 to 5 year time frame for transformation.
Thank you, Krish. I think there's one more question. You have mentioned the data shall be moved to the spreadsheet. after saving the information. What if there are any changes that are made at a later date? Will we be able to rectify the stored information?
Cool. See, there are two things to it. One is where your report has undergone a correction. Now, and second is where the inputted data goes wrong. See, accepting the address of the property, which gets manually typed in our platform, all other data points are all more or less automated. There is very little typing job. It is all drop downs and stuff like that. So first, let me address the first issue where the report itself undergoes a change for various reasons. Now, every time a new report gets generated in this, a new record gets inserted. Now, for the same particular customer. Now, winner was the customer that Vijay had shown in this particular demonstration. As and when a new report gets released, this will not get added to another folder. A new folder won't get created. Within the same folder, this report will also get added. So if you have released four reports will be available on that. But in the spreadsheet, whatever is the latest information which is available, that will go and get updated. That is one. Secondly, even assuming that there's a mistake which has happened in that particular spreadsheet, you can go as an administrator, as an owner of that data, you can go inside the spreadsheet and make necessary alterations, because this data is available, is attached to your email ID, and you are the owner of it. You can go inside and alter the data or correct the data at any given point of time.
Thank you, Krish. There's one more point. If I want to join, please mail the process in PDF.
Mr. Sharma, if you could just clarify on that. Please mail the process in PDF. Okay. The historical, this one. Okay.
Okay. Sure, we'll share those information with you, Mr. Dinesh. Thank you so much.
And we are actually quite happy to see some of our existing subscribers also participating in this particular webinar.
Right.
It's really heartening. We really thank you all for your support. You've been our strength, and you've been open and sharing your feedback. It's really nice. And
I think, Sudhakar, I think there are two more queries that have come in.
To ML, sorry, Jeet.
I think there are two more queries that have come in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to address them. Now, we have one query from Mr. Tanvi Goyal. Sir, Mr. Tanvi, we have developed a model around that. Using machine learning, yes, we can do it. It's not that it is not possible. We can do it. The biggest challenge is how the data goes inside. Now, if it is going to be a Word document or an Excel document, the terminologies which are used in these reports are very different. Now, if we are able to solve this puzzle, we will solve yet another puzzle in our software. I mean, where we are trying to automate the entire report generation process itself. Now, the key to that lies in this question that you have asked, where if we are able to extract the data from machine learning with machine learning algorithms. We are working on it. We should be hopefully coming up with a solution very soon. We have, as it is automated, about 3 bank formats, which includes the likes of Axis, if I'm not wrong, and then one SBI, I think less than 5 crore format or something, and then one other cooperative bank report. So we are working around it. There has been some progress in that, but we are trying to make it even more easier from a standpoint, from a business flow customer standpoint. We are ideally looking at a scenario where they just upload an Excel sheet and they get the sample report generated, and it tells them, this is how your output from Evalo would be. So we are working around that, and we are still few months away from it. As we progress, we'll definitely keep you posted on that. And the next one from Mr. NS is, will you be able to customize according to our requirements if we purchase the software? Customization in a SaaS environment may not be fully possible, but however, if it is going to be a feature or if it is going to be a requirement which will help many of our customers benefit, we will be absolutely open to it. Now, amongst our panelists, we have 4-5 subscribers of ours already participating in this event. Now, their views, their suggestions have already been implemented. Now, for a simple example, there was one suggestion which came up from one of his subscribers that invoices we had originally given PDF as the default document to be uploaded. They came up and suggested that it should be Word or Excel or PDF. We need to have the flexibility, which was very good for all our subscribers. That was instantaneously changed, and then quite a lot of features which came up as a request for a change actually got deployed for the entire subscriber, for all subscribers of Evalo. On a standalone basis, unfortunately, we may not be able to do it on a SaaS platform, because whatever one valuer here in Kanyakumari uses would be used, the same platform will be used by someone in Assam or in Jammu Kashmir. Incidentally, we have subscribers from Assam, Jammu Kashmir, Kolkata, from spread across the country. There's one single platform which is being used, and that is Evalo's virtual office.
Thanks, Vish. This one other question from Mr. NS. How many people can access the software at one time? So, sir, answering that question, there's no limitation in number of people accessing the software at any given point of time, as long as they're all from your own entity. You can just create user IDs, credentials for each one of your team members, and they can just access through their credentials at any given point of time. Parallelly, any number of people can access the software as long as they are working on a specific assignment. I hope we have answered all the questions.
Yeah, that's good. It's been a wonderful afternoon. I thank you all once again for pulling out time on Sunday. This is amazing. My humble request once again, transformation is a journey. It takes time. Travel with us. We are willing to travel with you. We are willing to help your employees also come up the learning curve, start using the platform. From a valuation professional standpoint, this particular feature will give you a lot of comfort in arriving at the valuation or taking a confident decision on arriving at a particular figure as a value of a particular property. And as the more and more we start using this platform, the more and more upgrades we bring into Evalo will make your decisioning even more stronger and make the usage of the platform even more easier. Our goal is ease of doing valuation, and with that mission, we keep moving forward. Do travel with us, and thanks for all your support all along.